Ian Walker. I'm the General Manager Environment and Heritage with Parks Victoria. Parks Victoria is very pleased to be able to be here at the World Conservation Congress, talking to this group and sharing stories around preserving nature for both conservation and human health outcomes. Today we're very privileged to have a number of guest speakers here highlighting their experiences and their opportunities associated with the philosophy of healthy parks, healthy people, connecting people with nature. I'll provide a brief overview of healthy parks, healthy people. Then our guest speakers will run through their experience and practical application of healthy parks, healthy people, and then we'll run a small workshop to actually explore what healthy parks, healthy people means to you, and look to build your experiences in to where we take healthy parks, healthy people into the future. I'd like to acknowledge Mary Lou Dixon, Joe Hopkins and John Senior, who have been key people involved in establishing healthy parks, healthy people in Victoria, and it is their progression and leadership that has us here today and in a position to further extend healthy parks, healthy people in its global context. And with that introduction, I'll start by providing some context for healthy parks, healthy people. When we talk about healthy parks, healthy people, it's often important to reflect on where the origins of healthy parks, healthy people came from. We, in the last number of years, have reinterpreted or reconnected with a philosophy that goes back many, many thousands of years. Aboriginal people for the last 60,000 years in Australia have had this innate connection with country. They call it caring for country. So this philosophy, this approach isn't new. In fact, it has been around, and as many of the other presenters will highlight, it has been around for a very long time. We're just reinterpreting it and reminding ourselves of it and reconnecting with what we've always known. And I think that's a really fundamental point to healthy parks, healthy people. It is innate. We connect with it because it is what we are. It also goes back to the establishment of national parks in a global context, with Yellowstone being one of the first national parks established anywhere in the world. It is that connection that really, I guess, highlights why national parks were established. Yes, they were established for biodiversity conservation, but they were also established because people cared. People realised that they needed to be connected with nature for their own health and their own well-being. So it's that innate, as I said, that innate connection that is really about healthy parks, healthy people. Parks Victoria, a small jurisdiction in Australia, started using the brand Healthy Parks, Healthy People as a way of reaching and outreaching into the community. And we deliberately created it as a brand initially to test the appetite, to test whether it would resonate with the community, and it has. So that was our first, I guess, application of Healthy Parks, Healthy People into branding and using it to market and communicate this connection. The research and information around Healthy Parks, Healthy People clearly demonstrates that when you're in nature, when you're in a park, when you're at one with nature, you are physically better, your mental health is better, children have greater cognitive ability when in nature. The connections, the research over the last decade have demonstrated time and time and again that this connection between nature and health is real and tangible. The brand, the philosophy of Healthy Parks, Healthy People is actually an important tool in extending the reach of parks into the broader community, the reach of nature into the community. This World Conservation Congress was titled Nature Plus. Well, Healthy Parks, Healthy People is in fact Nature Plus. It is our tool, our ability to reach out to the broader government constituents, the broader community about this connection between nature and health. We know that the community across the globe has increased prevalence of disease and preventative diseases, and we see Healthy Parks, Healthy People as being that outreach to the health sector to actually enable parks, the environment, to support broader communities. And it's an important tool for government and communities alike to understand that connection. I did say we had a brand. Well, that brand has grown into a philosophy that we've applied across our organisation. So the brand of Healthy Parks, Healthy People is now well and truly embedded within our organisation. We hosted a worldwide congress back in 2010, and that was really the pinnacle of our engagement and capacity building within our organisation, but also our outreach to the rest of the world. At that congress we launched Healthy Parks, Healthy People Central, which is a central resource for people, for communities to place and highlight their work around Healthy Parks, Healthy People. And as the slide says, there's a whole range of people that are involved in Healthy Parks, Healthy People, so I'd encourage you to visit that website to look at more information. I've touched on that Congress already. From our perspective as the people that put the Congress together, the Congress was an outstanding success, and the feedback from people in the community attended and the leaders that attended. It was the first Congress that brought together different sectors. It brought together the health, the well-being sectors and the park sector. And we had not park people up presenting, but a host of health sector people presenting and highlighting why parks are important for the well-being of people. It has been adopted internationally, and today you'll hear a few case studies and examples of where that work's been adopted internationally. And it is pleasing to see that each state jurisdiction in Australia has adopted Healthy Parks, Healthy People and are using that in their promotions and in their activities. It's extended to New Zealand, our close by neighbours. It's extended to Canada, it's extended to the US, into the UK, into Nepal, into Fiji. The reach of Healthy Parks, Healthy People has expanded dramatically, and I think it's something that Parks Victoria is very proud of, but it also underlines the simplicity of the message and the relevance of this message has to a far greater audience. A couple of slides that I've just flicked through, I guess, highlight that connection, that it's about bringing different sectors, different people with different abilities or disabilities into parks. It's about reaching out to the community and actively bringing that community into parks. I had the privilege of visiting Nepal and running a similar workshop to this with a group of Nepalese people from across sectors, across disciplines in Nepal. And again, the simplicity of message, the fact that people fundamentally understood what we were on about, meant that it was very well received, and that, I guess, has grown into opportunities for the Nepalese people to really connect and provide green and open space within Kathmandu, and that work is just the starting blocks. I guess in wrapping up, I've probably covered most of the key points that I wanted to cover, but I think leave you with this one before introducing the next speaker. Healthy Parks, Healthy People is fundamentally about protecting the Earth's two most important assets, nature and humanity. And I think no better conference than Nature Plus to really demonstrate and highlight that innate connection between nature and humanity. So thank you, and I'll move on and introduce the next speaker. Mr. Ratu is our next speaker. So Bernie, you'll introduce Mr. Ratu. Thank you, Bernie. Thank you for that.
There's no presentation.
Okay, beautiful. I don't know how to get that. Over to you, Bernie.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Bernard O'Callaghan and I work for IUCN in Oceania, but I have the great pleasure to introduce you today the Tui Matawata, who Ratu Aisa Katanivere. The Tui Matawata is the paramount high chief from Fiji, one of 10 paramount high chiefs in Fiji. And he's one of the strongest advocates for community-based, locally managed conservation, and one of the drivers of the locally managed marine protected areas approach in Fiji. So, on behalf of IUCN and Oceania, I'd like to welcome you here, and thank you very much for attending today.
Thank you, Bernie. Ladies and gentlemen, let me greet you in my native language, Bula Binaka. At this juncture, I would like to thank my sponsor, ICUN, and Meta Bernie, for giving me this opportunity to address this very important forum and gathering. My name is Ratu Aisia Katunpere. I am a chief in my province called Mazwata. My traditional title is Tui Mazwata. Fiji is classed as one of the last frontiers of healthy and pristine coral reefs in the world, and I am a traditional custodian or a traditional Fijian Goli owner of the third longest reef system in the world, the Great Sea Reef. It is within my province of Mazwata. Most of you would associate Fiji with paradise, and rightly so. It is a paradise that is under threat. Fiji's population is among the highest in the South Pacific island countries, with an estimated 210 population, census of 854,000 people. Not only one-third of Fiji's 332 islands are populated, with a majority living in Wonolevu or Wikilevu. Life expectancy continued to decline due to the changing lifestyle, with life expectancy standing at 68 years for male and 72 for females. Major health challenges still facing the country, according to the World Health Organization, and outlined in Fiji's Ministry of Health Strategic Plan 2007 to 2011, include diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, respiratory diseases, and cancers have now replaced infectious and parasitic diseases as the principal causes of mortality and morbidity. The increasing number of HIV and AIDS cases in a national challenge. In September 2006, there were 229 cases, with many contracting infectious in their teens. The threat of emerging and re-emerging communicable disease in the world and the region is becoming more serious. The threat of dengue virus infections and outbreaks continue. 80% of Fiji's population live within 5 kilometers of the coast and depend heavily on the reefs, and it is a primary source of protein. Functioning marine systems and productive fisheries are vitally important. They are the key sources of food, income, employment, foreign exchange, and cultures. In a recent WWF socio-economic survey of 4 districts in my province of Mazwata, showed that 100% of households earn income from their natural resources: marine, freshwater, forest, and agriculture. Of these households, 75% depend on these natural resources harvested as the main source of income. Local community residents of these districts traditionally fish 2/3 of the Wonolevu portion of the Great Sea Reef. The reef is therefore a major part of our living their life and sourcing their livelihood. As you can see, people have a vital link between nature and human health. In the background paper for this workshop, I noted that it mentioned that it will be a challenge to introduce healthy parks and healthy people. to the third world countries. I would propose that in third world countries like the South Pacific, this concept makes perfect sense. My forefathers looked after nature, both for health and livelihood, and we still do a great degree. We relied on forests and marine products for medicine, food, spiritual enrichment, and it supports our traditional practice and customs. We relied on mats, tapa, root crops, beautiful smelling flowers and leaves to perform and keep our cultures and deep traditions tied alive through our dances, songs, and traditional practices. If we don't have nature, our identity and traditional practices may also be lost with our people. In my province, we have established locally managed marine areas, LAMAs, through 8 districts, with a management regime established at district and village levels. I'm also happy to announce that 2 weeks ago, Maswata province had taken the lead in commencing the design of a natural resource management strategy for the sustainable use and protection of natural resources in the province in the face of an onslaught of development. In Fiji, we have a total of 410 golingolis, or fishing grounds, and to date we have 386 lamas, or tabu areas, in 192 golingolis. The local communities are taking the lead in the Pacific in establishing lamas with support from government and NGOs and local communities. Our communities are faced with new challenges like climate change, increasing demands for cash, and the degradation of traditional values and environment. Respect has caused overharvesting, pollution, and other environmental challenges. These are directly affected health, education, social cohesion we usually enjoy. It is time for action. It is time we can nurture the soul and the coexistence of our Pacific life. The importance of the access to nature for social equality is increasingly important. No ecological inequality or the lack of opportunity to experience contact with nature may come to be considered as the third powerful determinant of health and well-being in population, and that accessibility to nature is likely to be perceived through social justice paradigms in the future. Scientific research on the well-being benefits contact with animals and plants and revealed that encounters with the natural environment are very likely to have significant positive effect both psychologically and physiologically on human health and well-being. There is growing international recognition between the vital link of nature and human health. Many countries across the world have recognized the link between nature in the form of protected areas, parks, open green spaces, and the community health and sustainable development. The HPHP philosophy acknowledges the integral link between nature and human health. It is a philosophy that drives the impetus for diverse sectors to come together and tackle the issues of rediscovering of what our ancestors understood, that people and the environment are intrinsically linked. Indigenous population from around the world know that nature is something aside sufficient funds for preservation of parks in many countries is a very competitive process. Traditionally, providing funds for health services, public transport, schools, and education is more highly valued. Therefore, it is important for organizations such as ours to demonstrate to government why spending public funds on parks has significant environmental and social health and economic benefits. The HPHP approach, which involves the partnership of health, environment, and community sectors, have in many places successfully implemented programs which have positive benefits for all. Implementing HPHP has been easiest in developed countries of the world where systems appropriate the Australian socio-economic situation. In Asia, the HPHP interest has been successful in several developing countries, including Singapore, South Korea, and Japan. The United States and Canada have also successfully rolled out sophisticated programs and initiatives. However, there is uncertainty on whether the same principles can be applied to the developing world with its different drivers of policy and priorities, and with the protected areas often fulfilling direct livelihood benefits to poor people. Nevertheless, HP and HPHP approach can be highly relevant and beneficial. Work on HPHP has commenced in countries such as Nepal, Solomon Islands, and South Africa. The work underway has adapted HP in developing countries is demonstrating the health benefits of parks to the global community. The modern world is facing a challenging future. Human and natural environment is facing fundamental change. The impacts of climate change are being felt across the globe. They will only increase, magnify the preservation of overweight